This episode is brought to you by the wine for bodacious gals like us.
Be bold, be outspoken, be bodacious. Welcome back to Poddy Talk, the podcast where we shit talk ourselves.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Tor.
And today we've got to chat all things beauty because you know we are obsessed with beauty.
It's kind of crazy that we've never really done a deep dive into beauty practices, beauty regimes, things we keep in our, day to day. I feel like that was a great idea of yours to share our beauty secrets.
Yeah, I mean, all of our content revolves around makeup, and the only thing we don't talk about on the podcast is makeup. So how does that make sense?
I don't know.
But I'm excited to dive into beginnings. I want to know how you got into makeup, how you started wearing it, what your product favorites are now, what new technology you're inspired by, all of the things.
Love it.
Walk me back to day one. When did you first show an interest in makeup?
Is this an
beauty?
Interview? I feel.
Yes, it is. Brought to you by Jaclyn Forbes.
It's funny. I feel like I have always loved makeup. I've always worn makeup, which I think is interesting. I wasn't one of those girls in middle school that would show up with no makeup on. I would wear eyeliner every single day.
Was the culture at your school everyone wore makeup though?
No, it was very much in my friend group though. We definitely all, were put together. I'll put it that way. It wasn't like we were all trying to be the most glam, but we were a put together friend group in the sense that we liked fashion, we liked beauty, we liked to play around with those things. I didn't know what I was doing by any means. I would put black eyeliner from left to right, full on black, and I have small eyes. It was not the move. But anyways, so always experimenting. But again, at that time, I didn't have a ton of money, so I would just kind of play around with Shoppers Drug Mart brands and super affordable makeup, or steal from my sister, steal from my mom, kind of anyone's humble beginnings really in makeup. But I feel when I started to actually get really good and started to invest in more pieces was actually during and after Life with Boys, because I was spending so much time in hair and makeup on set. And I feel that's actually what sparked my initial joy for learning about products and learning about secrets and tips and tricks, because I would sit in the chair and I loved my makeup artist on Life with Boys. Her name was Yasmin, and she was so thoughtful and graceful with her touch and so conscious about makeup and skin and caring about the skin. And she would give me mini facials at the end of the day. She'd take all the Dermalogica pre-cleanse and she would wash my face. She was truly a blessed makeup artist. And the hair people too. I always got along with hair and makeup people on set. So that's really actually what began the love.
But you probably started wearing it, what was middle school for you, grade 7 or grade 6?
Yeah, I think I started wearing makeup full time in grade 7. And then I got good. By the time, I say good, it was not in today's standard. Yeah, but in my head, I thought I started to look good by probably grade 10 is when I really started to blend out the eyeshadow. I was way better at eyeliner. Those little things. So, but by grade 10, I felt confident with makeup.
It's so funny. So I remember, I did dance when I was younger, just like you. And I always remember getting our costumes.
True, I didn't even think about dance. That's when I would do so much makeup.
Putting on makeup was so fun to me. I've always loved the transformative nature of makeup. But it was funny. I have such specific memories. When I was maybe in grade 2, 3, 4 doing dance competitions, my mom would still do my makeup for me because I wasn't really old enough to be good at it.
Right.
And obviously
I remember my mom doing my makeup too, which is so funny because she
And don't you remember it's the most uniform, everyone has white eyeshadow here, then dark brown.
I know.
Very everyone has
very
to look
specific,
the same.
Yeah.
I have such specific memories of getting ready for dance competitions.
Yes.
And I would be sitting on my mom's toilet and she would be putting
false
on
lashes.
Well, false lashes, but even mascara. I used to kind of have a problem. I remember being so young and thinking, how do people wear this every day? It made my eyes feel so heavy. Whereas now I could put on the thickest face of foundation and I don't feel a difference. I'm so desensitized to it now. But at the time I remember being oh my God, this is so intense, and my eyes would water and just the feeling of makeup would be so
Did you wear makeup in high school?
Not really.
That's so weird to me.
Yeah.
But to be fair, we are different in that way. You know how even to this day, it's super rare that I would show up somewhere without makeup.
Exactly.
In high school, I could probably say 100% with all certainty I never showed up to school without makeup on.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy?
But okay, when we're talking makeup, though, at that age, is that full foundation,
That's
concealer?
Foundation, concealer, eyeshadow, mascara, lip gloss. Yeah, full
iconic.
face.
Love
No,
that.
I honestly don't think
Yeah.
I showed up to class without makeup on.
How long in the mornings would you spend getting ready?
10 minutes.
Oh, that's pretty
But that's
good.
probably why I'm still like that. Like, we always have this ongoing joke where my beauty routine is so fast in
She can do a
comparison to
full,
Jaclyn's.
every single step in like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and I take at least 45 minutes
I
to
think
do a
that
full
comes
face.
from the fact that I never wanted to go to school. And again, not like an insecurity thing, but this is like the way I just truly want to present myself to the world, which is I am glamorous, I am fabulous every day. So it's like, I think that
No, it makes
I lived
sense.
with that at a young age. So
Yeah.
I did wear makeup every day to high school.
Yeah, and then I have another specific, like, very fond, like, makeup memory growing up. It would have been, I remember I was in grade 3, and I felt so cool because the grade 8 girls, well, I think there was maybe a production in the grade 7 and 8, because we didn't have middle school. It was just, like, elementary school was, like, kindergarten to grade 8, and then it was
Right.
high school. So the grade 7 and 8 girls, who at the time, you know, when you're younger, the grade 8 girls seem so old.
I know.
And, like, so cool,
Yeah.
and, like such big kids at the
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then when you get there, you're like, oh, you're
I
still
am a
baby.
child, yeah.
But anyway, so I was in grade 3, and they had asked me, they came to my classroom, and they were doing like a theater performance, and they needed dancers for it. And they're like, we know you do competitive dance too. Like, do you want to join? And I was like, oh, me? Like, I felt so
Yeah.
cool. So I was in this like production, literally had the smallest little dance bit. But the day of the like performance, they're like, oh, Jaclyn, like you need makeup. Like we have makeup. Like, and
cute.
some of the like cool girls like brought me over, and like I remember they did my
your makeup?
eyeliner.
Yeah.
And these girls, though, thinking back, I can so picture the makeup. It was like the Frosty eyeshadow, like
Yeah.
really bright inner corner, and then
Classic.
like waterline black mascara.
The
and these
waterline black mascara was such a thing.
Yeah, like and like you know, like oh my god, it's just so much inner rim
know.
of like black liner.
I'm glad that trend went away.
Yeah, it just like honestly is not the most flattering for every day. I
No.
find. Anyway, so I remember these girls like brought me to like it was like the low, like the grade 8 kind of bathroom, and like they were doing my makeup, and I remember thinking, oh, this is so cool. I had never
Yeah.
seen liquid eyeliner before.
Yeah, liquid
And I
eyeliner was so
And I remember
foreign.
them just saying, don't blink, like it's wet. Like it's so weird, these memories that stick out in your
Yeah.
head. But I do remember from a young age always being very intrigued in makeup, and I was
Yeah.
always as a kid very much so like into art and like painting. So I feel like it's all very similar, kind
Which
of
is
like
so weird because
tactile
it's weird that I
mediums.
like makeup considering I absolutely hate arts and crafts
Yeah.
and I hate painting.
But I also think if you think about it, you like makeup for the fact of like the glamorous transformation
Yes.
versus like you're not sitting there going, I love blending, right?
No, but I do love blending. That's what's
Oh.
so weird. But like a face to me, maybe
Yeah.
the thing is this again is ego. Like maybe I like the process of makeup. Well, I think I've said this on the podcast, like that makeup to me is very meditative.
Therapeutic, yeah.
So maybe that's
get
why,
that.
because I've like allowed it to be something else. Like it's
Yeah.
more like it is like arts and crafts to me, but it's like its own version.
Right.
And I hate arts and crafts. Let me be clear.
No, that makes sense. I get that. And then yes, those are like my like very fond memories growing up of makeup. And then I think it was honestly, I always say this, it's because of YouTube that I got truly into makeup. It would have
Yeah.
been when I was in grade 7. I started watching like these little like YouTubers, and then they would talk about makeup, and then I was like, oh my god, I need that mascara.
So
And then I
crazy.
started to get influenced. And then I'm very obsessive in that way. So then at the time though, I was very much so like doing all the sports. Like I was
That's what's so dichotomous about you is that you are such a tomboy, but then you are so glamorous at the same time.
Yeah, but that's also I think too like so much of what I feel like mentally as a kid I wanted to unlearn, because I felt like it was like you had to be one or the other.
know,
And
yeah.
I felt being like, oh my god, I can't like show that
Which
I
is
like,
so
like
untrue
makeup.
because like everyone has duality to them
Exactly.
and you can be both.
I think
Like,
it's just like the 2005 like
Yeah.
pop culture landscape
Yeah.
saying it like when you watch any TV show, it's either
I know it's like
one
you're
girl
either
in hand-
Avril Lavigne
exact-
with black eyeliner
Yeah.
or you're Britney Spears with blue eyes. It's like
Exactly.
you're not like
Exactly.
you're not somewhere in between.
And that's just like media, especially at that time.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then so I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm like into makeup, even though I remember, oh my god, do you remember like J14 and all those magazines that would have like the fold out bigger posters of like
loved
Nick Jonas?
J14, yes.
And I would like pin them on my corkboard.
Yeah, me too.
So what I would do is I had actually a liquid liner maybe from dance. Like I had like a little, do you have the dance
yes,
bag
the
of makeup?
caboodle.
Yeah.
Caboodles,
Yeah,
the little
yeah.
like things that you'd fold in. Oh my god.
Yeah, literally that. And I would practice doing eyeliner like on like the Nick Jonas and Miley Cyrus like jumbo cutouts.
love
So it was
it.
like the size of a face. So I would like practice on paper doing it on that. Almost like a face chart, I guess, if you look back.
Yeah, that's so funny.
So I would like do that all the time. And
Wow.
then I would always, I had this thing because like so funny. Like it's so funny how you don't change. Growing up, I obviously like could never sit down and watch TV. So my parents always really bonded with my brother and would watch TV shows with him. And I would
Yes.
kind of like be upstairs in the
Putter
playroom
around.
doing my own
Yeah.
thing. Exactly. Watching YouTube or like whatever, playing with things. So whenever they would have like their family, like their parents,
Leave the family
son bonding
hang.
time, I would be
Yeah.
like upstairs and I would always like be like puttering around with my mom's makeup, but she wouldn't really know. But she also like she wouldn't have
Wouldn't
cared.
care, yeah.
But I also just like had too big of like an ego at that time to be
ask,
like,
yeah.
oh, like I'm not into makeup, like you know.
Yeah.
So, but I remember what happened one time. So I would, long story, would basically just put on all the makeup and then hop in the shower right away and wash it all off.
Oh my
But
God.
one day I was like in her little makeup drawer and I think I had picked out her blush.
And you cracked
and
it.
I dropped it and it
Of
shattered.
course,
I was like,
classic.
fuck, now what do I say? Like, I completely destroyed the makeup. So I think at the time I had an obsession with like plucking my unibrow because I was so like mortified by the concept that I would have a unibrow if I didn't pluck it every single day. So I think she had her tweezers in that drawer. So I was like, oh mom, I was using your tweezers and I knocked it out. And again, she didn't question it. Like she didn't care, right?
Yeah. It's funny we think moms care about things that they simply don't care about.
Well, you just think when you're at that age, you have so like lacking in perspective that's a huge deal.
I know.
And to even just be like, oh mom, I'm going to try putting on blush. Like,
I know.
It's so embarrassing at the time, but for what reason?
I know, I don't get it. It's so weird.
then-
the makeup, does your mom wear makeup?
She did, but now that like she's retired now, so she on an everyday basis doesn't. But she oh my god, it's so funny. She used to like do that black eyeliner, like
classic.
very like, you know, intense, like thick mascara.
Oh my god.
Throughout the years I've taught her about eyebrow pencils and all the beautiful things, but I mean she's gorgeous. She doesn't need any makeup, but she was into makeup at the time.
Yeah, it's so funny, and I wonder if I get this from my mom too, because my mom will also not leave the house without makeup on. Oh. So weird. I wonder if that's like are
my
those
mom was more like that.
things?
Like growing up, she was more like that. Like she always was about being polished and like would have like her
my
hair
mom
curled
is still
always
like that. Like my mom will not go. I mean, she'll obviously live like she goes on jogs and doesn't wear makeup, and she'll go to the grocery store without makeup.
But if she's
like,
doing something,
she would not do something without it. I wonder if is that learned or is that
probably.
Yeah. Shout out mom, glamorous and fabulous. I mean, I'll take it.
Well, that's the thing. I think what's so interesting too about this generation is a lot of growing up for us and for generations before us. What we knew about beauty was all just passed down through older sisters or moms or grandma, things like that. Whereas now with the internet, it has just changed the game.
It's true.
And that's why these kids skip out on those horrible, like,
it's almost just like the standard is so much higher. It is annoying that now they can skip that awkward phase where the eyeliner's all over your face. There's something beautiful about that time.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to relive it, but...
Did you ever have a moment where you like had to ask to wear makeup and like you remember the first day going to school with makeup on or anything? Or was it just like in grade 7, I just showed up with a full face?
It's very funny because, and I don't know if like because I was already so much in the performance world that it was such a natural transition. But yeah, you look at like dance and like how makeup naturally integrated into that world, and then film and TV and how makeup naturally integrated into that world. Like I feel like I truly came by it so naturally that by the time I was wearing a full face of makeup, it's like my parents didn't even... I also had an older sister.
So you don't have to be like, can I wear makeup, mom? Or
I don't think so. Like, they were so concerned, honestly, with my older sister at that point, because the eldest child is always the most problematic. And she was wearing, like, the American Apparel Deep V, tank tops. And, like, there was so many other things that they were focused on. So, like, me playing around and also... clearly at the time probably stealing all of her makeup and stealing all of her clothes and all of the things. Like, older sisters really coat the blow in that way. So it's funny. Like, I don't have any trauma from that experience. Like, I felt like I just naturally, like, weaved it into my life, and I just was wearing it all the time. Yeah.
I feel like it was definitely more of a moment in my head, not because, like, my parents, like, wouldn't have cared. And if I was like, Mom, I want to wear, like, whatever, she would be like, yeah, I'll show you how to do it kind of thing. But I was more, I feel like, because I became then so obsessed with it because of like YouTube and stuff, and then I got into like nail polish, and I was like, oh my God, like makeup was such a thing then to me that I very clearly in my head remember like when I wore like, I remember in high school I decided, okay, I'm gonna wear mascara now. Like that was a very deliberate, conscious thing, but like that was all I would wear then. And then
no, I would wear full face for sure.
But then also to be fair, because I was out of high school by the time I was like 15, 16, so it's like my skin wasn't fully bad. If I had raging acne, like I did in later years, I would have been wearing concealer for sure and all that stuff.
But this is the thing. I don't even think it's that I don't think I needed it. I had good skin.
No, I'm not saying that for you. I'm saying for myself, though. I would have been wearing
I know.
More.
It's just, it's interesting. Like, because that's almost the funniest part. It's like, that's probably when my skin was at its prime, because it's almost like prepubescent and like chilling. And then what am I throwing on, like 7 layers of L'Oreal like cover? Like, I don't know. Like, it's so funny.
I would like do so many, like I would put foundation on with like my fingertips and like all.
I don't even know what I was using. Like, God, beauty blenders were not around. Like, what was I even doing?
But you also, I think though, think about it this way, because the standard of your high school, I feel like really impacts it. Like you said, people would wear heels to school, whereas at my high school, that was just you set the standard. But at my high school, people would show up in sweats every day, and like it was very lax in that way. So I feel like it is your environment too that impacts. I'm sure I would feel more pressure to be more.
It's hard to say. That's where I don't know the answer, because I will say my standard of what. It's so interesting, and this comes up all the time in conversation, and I know it seems like a joke, but I don't think it is. So much of how I wanted to present myself was influenced by like Gossip Girl and Sex and the City. Because of the media that I was consuming at that time, I was so like the glamorous world. I didn't go to a glamorous high school. Like it was in the middle of it was like in the middle of Scarborough, and like it just was what it was. Like not to say it was shitty, it just was, you know, in its own way, its own thing, and was fabulous in its own right for being an art school and was accepting and all the other good things. But it definitely was by no means glamorous.
Yeah.
But I feel like in my head I made it glamorous. Like I would wear tights with heels and, you know, my little plaid skirts, and I would like.
How didn't you get bullied then for that?
Because I was fabulous. I mean, honestly, I think people probably talked mad shit about me. I'm not even like if someone listening went to Wexford with me.
People down in my school. If anyone did anything,
comment below. Oh my God, Torri was overdressed every single day. But I think I almost like.
If you own
this sounds so bad, but yeah, I feel like because my confidence has always been my confidence. People didn't second guess it. Yeah. I think they honestly thought I was like a prissy rich bitch. I think that's honestly the vibe I gave off. But in my head, I was like, it was like
trying
a
to be
way.
Blair Waldorf.
Not only that, it was like a way to express myself. Like fashion still to this day is a way that I express myself. Like I feel like I care way more about fashion even than you or like some of the other girls in our group. Like I care about fashion. I care about like that presentation. Like I'm a performer. I feel like I'm always just on a stage. Truly. Like I know that sounds crazy, but like I'm sure people absolutely hated me in high school based on my plaid skirts and my stupid eyeliner.
But that's what's so sad though about high school too, because I think back to my high school experience. If someone was to show up in my high school like that, like
you would make fun of them.
People, well, I mean, maybe not me personally, but just the school as a culture would have torn someone down. But that's just what high school is. If anyone does one thing out of the norm, like kids that's what kids do, and it's so awful.
I felt like a young influencer in the sense that like but like a true
such different lives.
But like a true influencer in the sense that like you wear something and you make it cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
so you created the trend.
No, like not always.
No, I'm not saying that in a mean way.
But like I remember like
and
kind of like I remember like getting like J brand jeans, and then one of my friends being like, "Whoa, like those are $200 pairs of jeans," and I'd be like, "Yeah, I saved all my money, but like high quality." Like, and I would like have this whole thing, and then I'd be like, "Oh yeah, like this boot," like, and it wouldn't be like an UGG, it would be like a Stuart Weitzman or like not even designer, but like whatever, like something else, and then they'd be like, "Oh, that's cool." Like, and I felt like my friend group also influenced each other. Like, if someone wore a cool sweater, then we'd all get the cool like it was just that was high school.
Yeah, carbon copy kind of like vibe.
Absolutely. And I was also being influenced by like even though I didn't go to a private school or the higher end school in my neighborhood because I went to an art school, my close friends that I grew up with, like Shireen and that crowd, they all were infiltrating in the private school zone. So they all were like on a whole other scale. So I felt like at home I was like trying to keep up with that crowd. So then by the time I got into my high school, I was like just like simply overdressed or just like I don't know.
That's so funny. It makes me think back to being in like grade 8. I remember actually having a conversation with my best friend Courtney, who is still one of my best friends to this day, and we literally had a conversation going into high school saying, okay, now that we're going to high school, we are not wearing sweatpants anymore. Like, we're going to dress cute every single day. But then we said on Wednesdays will be our day that we're allowed to wear sweatpants.
Cute.
And obviously, we broke that rule. And like within 2 weeks, I swear to God. But it's so funny, like also all these preconceived ideas that you have, especially like going into high school was a very big moment in my head, being like, it's this new chapter. And so it's like all those moments of wearing makeup for the first time. I remember saying, okay, well now that I'm in high school, I guess I should wear mascara. And like all of these weird different.
I would like, did you get dressed up a lot for parties, like house parties?
Oh no, I also like didn't really like go to parties. The standard there is like you're wearing leggings and a TNA sweater. Like it's not like
that was the
no
thing
one would
too.
ever wear anything dressed
like
up.
Like house parties, especially and again, like we would have our own within my high school, but like I remember, and I wasn't invited to them. Obviously, I was kind of a loser, but like some of the private school people, like, and my friends would get invited and they go to these parties. Like these girls were dressed. Like I'm talking like to the nines. Like we've got like quality going on in this like
did
Toronto
not exist
scene.
in my small town.
So I feel like the standard was high. Like by the time everyone got to a party, they're in like bustier tops with like skinny jeans and the latest like boot and like I'm not kidding. Like
wait, do you
was, like,
remember?
Dressed
Sorry,
up.
This just triggered a memory. Do you remember those Aritzia bustier kind of like
yes,
spandex?
That's kind of what I'm talking about, like the spandex.
I had to beg my mom to let me buy that because I was in grade 9. She's like, Jaclyn, no, that looks like a bra. And I'm like, Mom, please, all the girls are wearing it.
I know, everyone had them. But yeah, like that type of top. Like I remember by the time I was in grade 11, grade 12, like I'd show up like fabulous to these like house parties. Like
dresses, full dresses.
Yeah, like tights, dress. Like I like maybe not even tights. Like if it was this warm months, like we'd be in like cute like cover ups. Like like the fashion was alive and well. Like people were definitely expressing themselves through fashion by the time I was in high school.
I was still wearing Aeropostale t-shirts, I think,
in
high school.
Can't believe we're friends, honestly. It's shocking.
Oh, no, that's so funny. But no,
I
feel
wonder if we had met in high school, if we would have
liked each other.
I'd say no.
Yeah, probably not. No, I think though. I don't know.
I think we would have been very different at the time.
But this is what I think though. I think if you were, say, plopped out of your world, your community, whatever, and brought into small town, went to this one high school that like it was a one high school kind of town.
Yeah.
And plopped into that environment.
Oh, we would not have gotten along.
No, I think we would have though, because there was no like.
Oh, because it would have been like simplified.
Yes, it was like equal playing field. It was just like, yo, if you're a cool person, I'll hang with you.
Vice versa, if you were dropped into my high school, so
I would have been
eaten by the dogs.
I would have been, what's it called when you get flushed in a toilet? Yeah. But I think that's always kind of been me though. I've always been like very like.
Did you feel like you were bullied at all in high school? Like, was there bullies?
Oh, absolutely. No, well, it was probably my friends that were.
Oh, okay,
bullies.
yeah.
I mean, it's weird. From my perspective, high school was very much so like everyone was friends with everyone, but there definitely were like little groups and cliques and like people that.
I felt like my high school was so cliquey. Everyone had their homies and you rode with your homies and that was it.
See, I mean, again, it would be interesting. Like that's my perspective, but I'm sure someone else that went to MPSS in my year, they'd been like, fuck, Jaclyn, you were like.
That's what I wonder.
Who knows?
Like, because I have a very specific vision of just like my crew and like I actually felt super.
Oh, like, I felt like we were so cool
within my crew. Yeah, for sure. I thought my crowd was super cool.
Who doesn't?
Everyone
thought.
Everyone thought that we were the cool crew. But it's funny because I wonder, and I did feel at the time that I was very not exclusive. Like I remember being in like English class and I'd like make friends with like random people in English class.
That's how I felt too. In my
and I felt like
group.
I was just friends with other people. It wasn't the only people in my crowd. But I will say, I would be very curious to know of someone in my year that went to high school with me, what they would say about me. Because I don't think it would be a nice thing, honestly. Not that I wasn't nice to people. I just think I rode in my own little zone. Like I don't think I went out of my way to like chat with everyone or like be everyone's homie. But I guess that's like not the expectation.
Yeah, again, it's just I think totally depends on the type of high school because mine is so different. Like if I was to ask that same question to my group, we probably had like 90 graduating kids in my year. And
we had like 1,500.
This is what I'm saying, and I knew all those 90 kids like by middle name too. Like I knew everyone so well.
So that's what's weird.
See, that's what mine
would be more interesting.
More siblings, I felt
mine would be more interesting because out of those 1,500 people, I probably
wouldn't
only
even know you.
Who knows?
But like I'm saying, wouldn't know you personally. They would just go, oh,
that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Everyone knew who I was.
Probably knew my
name
name by the time of graduation because that was literally the heat of like life with boys, and I had just like I just was annoying by that point. But I do wonder. It's like they would not have known me, but I wonder what the perception would have been.
Where I'm saying it's so the reverse because people, maybe it would have been worse though because people would be like, oh no, I actually knew Jaclyn and fuck that girl. Like, whatever, who knows? But it felt very like a big sibling family.
Interesting. Yeah, that was not the vibe in my high school.
And needless to say, I wore hideous makeup.
I truly wonder like where half the people are that I went to high school with.
Whoever is watching this, if you know anyone that has gone to Wexford?
Yeah, Wexford. Wexford Collegiate graduated in, oh my God, 2016, I guess.
That doesn't make sense.
No, that makes no sense. 2014.
2014. Yeah.
Graduated from university 2018.
Yeah,
It's 2020. I've been out of school for 2 years. Yeah, so 2014 I graduated from high school.
Damn.
That's crazy. 6 years. But you know what's weird is actually in my life it feels like way longer. Like I
agree.
I can't
high school feels really far away.
High school feels a long distance.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Wow.
I feel like I would have been if you took me right now as the human that I am and put me in high school, I don't think I'd survive. I kind of hated high school, if I'm honest. People were so mean and catty and jealous and rude and like so much drama.
But also, do you think that is because of the experience you had at that time in your life? Because you were on a show and...
No, I guess, but also just like the people I was around. Like, I think it's interesting that I'm not friends with anyone from high school. But is that me or is that the crowd? I mean, none of them are really friends anymore, so I don't think it's just me. But
I think that is just like the beauty of like weird high school. Like, it is just a bit of a fever dream and like people
It is a fever dream.
Everyone is their worst version when they're 14.
Yes.
Like, I convince me otherwise.
It's the worst version of yourself because I think you're the most insecure. Cool. Yeah, you're trying to be cool. You're trying to be like everyone else.
No proper moral compass, really.
You have no moral compass. You also have no sense of identity. Like, who are you? What do you stand for? What are your, like, I don't know. I kind of am so glad it's over. Like, you know, I hate to bring him up because I know you said I'm not allowed.
But don't say it!
David Dobrik, he talks so fondly about high school, and I truly wonder to myself,
but I kind of feel that way the way he talks about it. Like, I would literally, if any of those kids that were like, if they messaged me and said anything, I'd be like, yeah, I'm here for you, dude. Like, what's up?
What?
Like,
Okay,
it's
I don't feel that
family.
way at all.
Like that crew really is family.
But I think again, like you guys also were in like smaller towns.
Yeah.
It was like more ride or die. Like I feel like in Toronto or in big cities in general, it's less like tight knit like that because you're in your crowd, but otherwise like it's strangers.
But it's so true because it makes sense. He who shall not be named also lived in like more of a suburb, like outside of the city. So like it definitely is just like that culture of, oh, I can walk down the street and I know who lives in every single house.
Yeah, that is the culture. It's so weird. That was definitely not my experience.
Yeah. How do we go from talking about makeup to just reliving our either
high school
peaks and pits of high school?
Tragic times.
Anyways, though, wrapping into more of the makeup, I want to talk more about the progression of once you got into university, what like the worst makeup things that you've ever done, aka the black waterline, to like what you look back on and go, oh, I hated that trend. Like, thank God I didn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Do you have any more
I feel
moments?
like the eyebrows has always been an interesting one because there were so many years where I just didn't fill them in.
Oh, I
just did nothing. Like, no shaping.
I didn't know people did things to their eyebrows until I was like 16.
Eyebrows... Yeah, like eyebrows was definitely something I picked up in the film and TV world because they would always fill them in because especially on screen, you really need to like define them.
Yeah.
And I remember hating it at first, like because they'd always fill them in and I was like, oh my God, they look so dark. Like I fucking hate my eyebrows.
Yeah.
But I had no choice. Obviously, I just like go with the flow. But then obviously at a certain point,
it's so true. The first time you ever get your eyebrows done, you're like, what the
so
fuck?
weird.
Yeah.
Like you're like, ew. But then now I'm like, oh my God, I would never leave the house without like doing my eyebrows. Like that's strange.
Do you remember though, back in like 2014, 2015, it was like peak ABH era of like the dipbrow eyebrow, like the block eyebrows.
To be fair, I think I kind of fell into like abusing the brows.
I did too. I look back even on YouTube and I'm like, oh, it's so bad.
And I guess I will say, and I'm still like this to this day, so it's a thing I always just it's a daily maybe mistake, but sometimes I'm very adventurous with color. I always have been in terms of eyeshadow. Like I don't limit myself. Like I'm not only going to use brown eyeshadow or a very neutral color. Like I'll use pinks, I'll use like reds, I'll use like orange, yellows. I remember there was a year in high school where I was obsessed with the Naked palette. Oh, the first one.
That was
original.
my first like proper makeup product.
Amazing. But there was a yellowish shade in the palette and there was a light purple shade. And that was what I would wear to school. So I would do like yellow in the crease, and then I'd blend it out with the purple, which like I guess it's not that weird, but I think back, and I guess at the time I must have thought it looked good. I did it for like a whole year.
Yeah.
But I do just wonder, like in that palette, there were so many other colors I could have used or played with, and I don't know. Very interesting.
It's so funny. I have such a specific memory with that Naked palette because it was such an online thing. I remember it blew up because of like YouTube and all of those things.
Yeah.
And I mean, every brand has since tried to recreate that moment in the hysteria of the Naked palette. I remember being in, oh my God, I must have been walking at 3rd Street Promenade. Is that what it's called? In LA?
In LA, yeah.
And
or the Grove or whatever.
I think it was the 3rd Street. And there was like a Sephora, like an outdoor Sephora. And I went in there and I was like, Mom, like I think I should buy a makeup palette. Like I've seen all these girls talk about it. She's like, oh my God, do it. And I was like, I don't know. Like, should I? She's like, Jack, like do it. And this is obviously before I went to makeup school or like had a full-fledged makeup addiction.
Yeah.
And I remember being so excited to just go home and like swatch them and like it was like such an obsession. Like it's something I think when you watch something online for so long, that made the allure of makeup so much stronger because I was
so interesting.
Not like I denied myself of it, but I didn't
engage.
I wasn't in that as much. And then once I finally started playing around with makeup, I was like so excited about it. And I would not want one speck of pigment to be anywhere else. I'd want it to be so neat and like so.
That's so
it was
funny.
like a prized possession, right?
It is interesting. Like I do think back to, and this is something that I don't give enough like gratitude to now, I think in my life, but there were years, especially in high school, I remember where I must have been spending like, oh my God, like $5,000 a year on makeup. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like,
Jesus.
I must have been cashing
you
out.
You were VIP Rouge since 04.
I was literally VIP Rouge since they literally treat me like gold when I walk in because on my card, it must have some information about how much money I've spent at Sephora, which in recent years, let me be clear, probably $0 because now, God bless, like our job revolves around trying out new products. But there is like this
weird...
put
in your tub.
That's what I'm saying. There's a weird disconnect between the years where I legitimately would go to Sephora and like spend literally all my money on new palettes or like, you know, whatever it was, like a new lipstick. Like I remember like going out to the checkout and being so excited and like saving all my money and buying all these things. And it's so weird now, this disconnect of getting these new palettes and being like, oh, the new palette. And then it's like this level is not the same.
That
like
actually is almost what makes me sad though. It's like it definitely is a desensitized level because
which I hate.
Where were the days of Jaclyn being like so excited about one new lipstick or even like collections?
I know.
I think it is also to do with the part of the beauty industry has realized how much people are willing to spend and they pump out collections every other week. And
it's less special because there's less newness.
Exactly. And like everyone seems to be pushing out new things and it's less thoughtful, it seems like. Yeah. So there is like a weird, I'm sure you could see like on a graph, like the level of people caring about it and like the amount of product they're pumping out. Because there was a time when MAC was all the rage, whereas MAC I feel like it's like people do not care at all.
I used to think MAC was like, this goes back to like a weird sense of anxiety that I remember, which is that I wouldn't shop at MAC because it wasn't in Sephora.
And did you hear that people were mean at MAC?
Yeah.
That was the story.
The perception was shopping at Sephora and always feeling welcome and then also like complimentary. Like if I was at the checkout, they'd be like, oh, we love your eyeliner. Like they did a good job of making me feel like, oh, I'm doing my makeup well, and oh, I should come back here, and oh, I should invest in new products, and they did a good job of that. Whereas I felt like at MAC, I'd go in and it would be like older women, and like I didn't know what to ask for, and it did feel very pro, and I don't know, it felt so unapproachable, which is so weird now as like an adult. I'd be like, okay, I just want this palette, I'm gonna go in, but I literally did not shop there.
I agree. I remember there being a time, and this goes back to me being obsessed with YouTube, but there were so many stories on YouTube being like, oh, this is my MAC experience or weirdest MAC experience ever. So I grew up thinking as well that it was this very exclusionary thing. So
weird.
Which it's weird because I guess in some ways it's like, you think of like designer brands nowadays, like their whole thing is being a bit more like standoffish. And that's almost the allure that it's like this exclusive club, which obviously I don't agree with, but that is how a lot of these luxury brands have made them such a thing. So it's like two opposites of like anyone's welcome, like a Sephora, or back in the day, the more like snotty kind of MAC vibe.
Exactly.
But and it's so interesting now to think that MAC isn't the same. Like MAC used to be everything.
I know.
It was like industry standard. Whereas now, I mean, I guess there still is a lot of
products that people lean on,
but it's not the same intensity.
No, it's not, and the thing
which
is,
sucks for them. But
it does. But the thing is too, like it's created so much opportunity. Like brands have gotten so innovative and creative about like what's new, what's fresh. Like you have brands like Fenty that have come off the market and just they just kill it, and they have epic, innovation, and they have epic products. So it's like, I mean, hey, like, throw it at the wind and see what sticks.
Exactly.
Like,
you know what? I remember my very first MAC experience, now that we're talking about all this. I remember wanting to get a lip gloss, but again, at this point, I wasn't like still like talking about my like obsession with makeup. I was still kind of like on the DL with it. Do you remember, I don't know if it was the same here because you kind of maybe live closer to shopping malls, but it would be a big deal if me and my friends could go to a shopping mall and I have like $25 and be like, oh my God, what am I going to buy?
Yeah.
So we got dropped off to the mall. It was me and actually my two, they were twins actually. And I would get so excited to go shopping, and we didn't even have a full-fledged MAC store. It was just like a MAC counter at like the Bay.
That's what I had too. We didn't have a MAC store either.
And I remember it was maybe my mom's birthday coming up or like Mother's Day or something. So I was like, oh, I'm going to buy her a MAC lip gloss. I've been hearing so much about MAC lip glosses online. Or they were called lip glasses actually. But I didn't want to buy one for myself. So I was like, I'll buy one for my mom because she wears lip gloss. And my mom used to love lip gloss. So I remember I picked out a lip gloss for her, but then I really was just buying it so I could go home and like try it too. And I literally will never forget the name of it. It was called Pink Carrot. And it's so weird. Like, why do I remember that, but funny. I can't remember like what I had for lunch last week?
I know.
Like, tell me how the brain works, but
that is so funny. It's weird that you had this inherent, like, not shame, because that's the wrong word, but it's weird that you were like afraid to. But again, maybe that's just like small town energy and it wasn't as like normal. And
I think honestly, because I have thought about it a lot. I'm like, why would I care? I would show up to school in full makeup after a dance competition to pick, like, I wasn't embarrassed by it. And again, even being in the acting world, being on set, I was always so obsessed with it and loved getting my hair and makeup done as a kid.
That's strange.
But it was just more when I was like, I think it's just the awkwardness of like puberty.
Yeah.
I was always someone who was like, ew, I didn't want to like wear a bra. Like I was like, so then the idea of makeup too, I think it also was just this whole like
this idea of femininity.
Exactly. And at that time it was like embarrassing. Whereas now it's like, I obviously fucking love makeup. I went to school for makeup. It's like my whole obsession.
So interesting.
But yeah, I don't know. There's probably some.
Wish I was a therapist so I could do a deep dive there.
Probably. There's probably something there.
That's hilarious.
Anyways, okay, bringing up to speed of modern day makeup, what do you think like are things that you couldn't live without? I actually haven't even seen your like makeup bag in a hot minute. Yeah, like what are you obsessed with these days? Dyson Airwrap. That's
Dyson
hair.
Airwrap I love. There's like certain brands that I really stand by. Like skincare is a whole other, we'll have to do a whole other episode on that. But in terms of makeup, I really in recent times have loved Nude Sticks. I think they've done a really good job of like staying up with the modern girl, like fast products like that work, that don't affect my skin. I feel like they've done a really good job. Like it's so weird, and I feel like this goes back to maybe this like desensitized version of makeup, but like I do feel like now it's such a like what is that called when you enter a door and it keeps spinning?
A revolving door.
Yeah. Like I do feel a bit revolving door with my products. I mean, I obviously have my favorite things like, you know, like Charlotte Tilbury lips I will always forever love. Like I just feel like she does the best lips. I like NARS palettes for like highlight and like bronzer. I like Too Faced for eyeshadow. It's so funny because it's not exclusive in any way.
I feel exactly the same way.
It's like sometimes Too Faced will put out like a nice blush color and I'll use it for 6 months and I'm obsessed. And then, you know, a new collection will come along and then I'm like in love with that. Like I don't know.
Do you have anything like a concealer or a foundation that you're very like religious to?
I like the NARS Creamy Concealer. This is also a weird thing, and I probably shouldn't admit this, but nowadays it's rare that I'll replace a product I love when I have too many products to play with.
I agree.
So that's also complicated my makeup bag because even though I love NARS,
the same thing.
Even though I love NARS Creamy Concealer, if I have 4 other concealers in my bag that I have to get through that are like maybe Rare Beauty or like Fenty, I'm still going to use those before I go out and buy another one because that's just wasteful. Like I'm not going to do that. So I find that interesting too, and especially with mascaras, I feel like we get a lot of mascara. I don't know why. Yeah. Probably like one of those things. But so with that even too, like I have some favorites, Benefit, love forever. But like if I have other Too Faced mascaras, I'm going to use those too. So I don't know. It's so complicated.
No, I agree. The only thing I feel like I'm super picky about is mascara. I won't really try a lot of new mascaras because I find I'm always disappointed. I like Glossier Lash Slick if I'm doing more of a natural
love
thing.
That. Which I did try and I do like.
But other than that, I love like either a cheapy drugstore kind of like
the L'Oreal Millionaire one is like so good.
I was obsessed. Growing up, I was obsessed with Maybelline The Rocket, which was like a waterproof like plastic brush. But now I'm using Urban Decay waterproof Perversion. But as long as it's waterproof, I'll probably like it.
I don't even use waterproof. This is the thing. I don't know. There's some products that are like tried and true. I just know are amazing and I'll always go back to. Like Laura Mercier, her translucent powder. Like that's like forever a perfect
but it's something
product.
that I wouldn't rebuy. I'm like, it's a great product, but I'm like, if I have a Too Faced loose powder, I'll use that.
I'll just use a loose powder. Yeah. So it is hard. But like Benefit does have some like really great brow products that I love. Good mascaras. It's hard. I also think the
reality of beauty nowadays is that the standard is so high that like everything is pretty good. It's not like there's like even drugstore products, which I feel like used to get a bad rap in the sense that it would be, that'd be like a chalkier, not blendy.
Exactly.
Like, it's not true. Even affordable, more drugstore products are pretty high quality in terms of like comparing it to a Sephora. So
no, it's true.
It's weird. The quality of makeup in the standard has just gotten so good that I agree. It's less like brand
loyal.
Yes, brand loyalty, because I'm down to kind of use whatever and try whatever.
Me too. It is weird because I feel like back in the day I was way more brand loyal. And to be fair, that could also do with the fact that I had money on the line and I was investing so much money clearly at Sephora. But I remember even like, I don't know how I found it. I think it was actually Gigi Hadid in a YouTube video, like probably like 2014, maybe even earlier, talking about her, like, you know how Vogue does like beauty favorites bags?
Yeah.
So she did one talking about her beauty bag and I watched it like religiously and she was like, I get this foundation because this is what my mom uses and I've used it forever, and it was called Cogen Dough. And it was this like very like hard to get, like it was like $100 a bottle, like it was like not cheap. And I remember for like years I was so loyal to this Cogen Dough foundation.
You got it. Where do you get it here?
It was like Beautylish, like it was like a whole other site. I had to pay duties. It was like, I can't believe I was spending money like this on it. Like it was like wild. But it was fabulous. I wonder now if I tried it today, if I would still feel the same, because I remember loving it at the time. But yeah, like just I'm not as brand loyal as I used to be, and I'll just play with things, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like it's funny, people were really raging about Rare Beauty on like YouTube and TikTok and stuff.
Giving it negative reviews?
No, positive. like in a good way. But I found, so like, for example, a YouTuber that we both know and follow, like she was like, oh my God, this is the best foundation I've literally ever tried. And I was lucky enough to like get gifted the PR box. So I was playing around with the foundation and I was like, yo, this is like not it for me. So it's so unique and it's like, you just don't know.
Too. And I've had products that I like literally think I hate after I try them for the first time. And then I pick it up in my collection 6 months later and I'm like, oh, this is actually a really good color.
Yeah, why did I never use this?
So that's the thing. It's like so personal. Your personal tastes change. The trends change.
You change your mind every day.
We'll watch this in 10 years and go, ew, like look at our makeup now.
Exactly.
It always is going to be evolving,
it's always
right?
a trend, yeah.
Well, I'm glad that I got over the days of being embarrassed to wear makeup and I'm just like in my full form.
It's a whole new you
8
now
million layers.
as a literal makeup artist.
Yeah, wow. I really got to give a shout out to my mom. She somehow knew. She was like, Jaclyn, you're supposed to go to makeup school. Like, you're so obsessed with it. I was like, no, like I don't even wear makeup.
That's so funny.
Oh my God, it's so funny. Anyways, we could talk about makeup truly all day.
Can't wait.
We are going to head into our segment, Living Bodaciously, which if you've been listening to our episodes, you would have heard before. We love to share a moment, normally at the end of the podcast, about roses and thorns, but we've replaced some of them with Living Bodaciously. And basically, it's a moment that is fan-submitted. They're all anonymous. And you shared a moment with us that was either bold, living a little zesty, an epic win, a high, or maybe just like an embarrassing like ego check moment. It can be anything like that.
Yes.
We got some pretty epic stories.
We did.
And we're going to dive into 2 of them today because we love highlighting your wins and your successes and your bodacious moments.
We do.
Tor, do you want to take away the first story here?
Yes, so this story is called All on My Own. And again, I prefaced this in our last Living Bodaciously segment, but I do like to give stories headings, so that is why I've given them some titles. So All on My Own. I am a hairdresser and hair accessory designer here in Toronto. I am lucky enough to say that I wake up every day loving my job, but I want young women to know that it took me years to find the job of my dreams. It took a divorce, 3 kids, and a job that I didn't particularly appreciate before I finally looked inside and asked myself who I wanted to be. After my divorce, I made the bold decision to go back to hair school and dive into an industry I always loved from afar. Keep in mind, I had 3 kids at home to feed. My kids inspired me every day to keep learning and growing as a hairdresser, and they were so supportive of my dreams. Now, as a single mom, I'm so happy to wake up every morning knowing I made the bold and risky choice to go out on my own to pursue my dreams. It's never too late to find your passion or purpose in life.
Isn't that the truth? That is the most relevant story to this episode.
It is. We were literally just talking about that. You finally got pushed to do what you love.
I know. Well, that's the thing. I think there also sometimes can be a stigma, and maybe not so much anymore, but I know I felt this. Back in like 2014 when I was finishing up high school and deciding what to do for post-secondary, there did seem to be a bit of a stigma about going into the arts or more of a creative field. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it might just be like...
I feel like that's changed so much.
I agree now, but I think at the time even, like there was still like that boomer kind of mindset of like, oh, like that's so risky, it's so unstable, it's so inconsistent, like get a regular 9 to 5. Like that was kind of, even though no one deliberately said that in my life. Like, well, yeah, but also no one deliberately really said that, but whenever I told teachers what I was planning on doing, or like, I always kind of just got that vibe, and I was lucky that my parents always were like, we don't care, do what you want to do, like if this is your passion, like whatever, you'll make it work, which I feel very lucky to have that because I know a lot of people don't. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you're being told your whole life that, oh my God, hair school, oh, that's like a fake job, or that's like people dismissing the actual reality of it. Like, no wonder you don't want to pursue that right away.
It's
like,
so true. And I also think it is interesting when you're young because you see it as a certain, like you're pigeonholed. You're like, oh, hair? Does that mean I'm standing in a salon doing hair all day?
Yeah.
But what people don't realize is that could mean working red carpets. That could mean going to Fashion Week and doing all the models' hairstyling, working with designers, working with brands. Like, I feel like even to my own knowledge, what I even thought 10, 15 years ago, if someone had said to me, yeah, I would have been 10 years old, hey, Torri, do you want to do hair? All I would have thought was, oh, I'm standing in a salon all day, blow drying.
Yeah.
Whereas now we collectively know so many hairdressers and so many hairstylists that travel globally with like literally pop stars and like do the most epic things.
I don't know if I ever told you this story or shared it on the pod, but same idea in makeup. Even when I went to makeup school, I still didn't even understand all
like
the different
the scale.
worlds.
It's like we didn't see the scale.
Exactly. And I remember my teacher was telling me, like my makeup teacher was saying that she got hired by the literal FBI when she was working in the States to recreate a crime scene because she was like did special effects and gore makeup.
Oh my God.
And it was like this whole, like she was actually involved in a case for something. Like it was like this,
that's what I mean. Like you just like don't know where this will ever take you.
Exactly. And that's why follow the passion, and that's very inspiring.
Wow.
I love that and I resonate, so thank you, listener.
I love that.
The next story we have here, titled by our lovely Torri, is called Laughing Our Way to the Finish Line. This one goes, over the last 36 years, I've been told I'm bold every step of the way. From flying abroad to meet boyfriends I only communicated with through text, to job interviews in languages that I don't speak, to working in the music biz, there hasn't really been a day that's gone by that didn't require boldness in various forms. Without a doubt, one of my best examples of this was quitting my dream job as a publicist at a record company and moving to Switzerland, a country with no entertainment to speak of. Shout out to Shania and Tina Turner. They just hang there micless. After much struggle, turmoil, and attempting to get a handle on the German language, it was clear that working for the man just wasn't my jam. It was time to abandon all side hustles and start my own company doing something I love. In my boldest move yet, I started the Getaway Company, an innovative company that organizes fully plant-based travel experiences all over the world.
Love that.
Yeah, personally resonate. Currently, we're hosting trips to Indonesia, Italy, and Portugal, with many more international locations on the agenda. Whether we can get through COVID-19, that's a feat of boldness that is yet to be seen, but as always, we're laughing our way to the finish line.
Oh, that's a lovely story.
Same kind of spirit as the last one about
this idea of like pivoting.
Yeah.
You listen to the podcast Second Life.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting when you hear these people that are truly like A-list in their field, and I'm sure this person is as well. We read these anonymously. But these people that are truly at the top of their field and they just completely give up and they pivot and they start a new life, and you think, oh my God, you can really start at any age. You can do anything at any age.
That's something that I didn't realize. Growing up, it feels like you're told that you pick a job and that's what you're doing for the rest of your life, which I have learned that is not the case at all.
It's a lie. It's a lie.
Even personally, I feel like in our own careers, like there's so many pivots and
oh my God, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, even 2 years ago, we didn't even have a podcast. Like we pivoted, we started something new. Like you just, I don't know. Like, and if you had asked me 5 years ago, oh, are you going to have a podcast? I would have been like, what's a podcast?
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's so interesting that we have so much room to experiment and organically change. We put so much pressure on ourselves to have it all figured out.
And I think tying even back to the earlier story we were talking about, putting my young self in a box of I had to be this certain tomboy way or couldn't be into makeup. I think this is the same idea of you put yourself in a box of, okay, this is my 9 to 5, this is what I'm doing. And the box is only put on by yourself. Yes. Whether you feel the pressures from society, that's totally valid.
Yeah, like why are we putting on these barriers of entry to ourselves? Like why, like, and why do we have this idea that everything has to be solved like a mystery? Like it's just the things that I guarantee you and I are going to be talking about in 15 years haven't even touched this earth yet.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't even make sense why we think our 20-year-old self from this point needs to have all the answers. Like we simply don't.
And I think that's what also just makes life exciting. Like I don't want to have my map fully
wave, baby.
Yeah, I don't want it fully mapped out right now. Like I like the idea that something that I could be doing that will be the most creatively and passionate and most fulfilling thing.
It's so
is something that I don't even know
yet.
Exists.
Yeah.
So fun.
I read this thing on TikTok too, and it was so cute because it was so true. It was like, people you love you haven't met yet.
Oh.
And I was like, and that's the same with like a job too, like a thing you're gonna love you haven't done yet, or isn't invented yet, or isn't even an industry yet. Like, I mean, heck, Instagram didn't even exist 10, 20 years ago. Like,
your best moments haven't even happened yet.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much to look forward to, and it's never too late to change.
I love it. It's Bodacious. It's fabulous.
Huge thanks to our sponsor, Bodacious, for inspiring this segment. We love sharing your bold and zesty stories. These ones were very just...
And clearly they hit
home.
They hit home. We love it. We love it.
Well, we would love to hear some of your makeup mishaps down below in the comments, because we just revel in the horrible trends that we've had to live throughout the 2010s.
Let me pull up some of those images at some point. They must be on a lost Facebook account somewhere.
Oh, I will not be pulling those images up. I can tell you that.
That is such a specific era. Black eyeliner, Facebook, and like Tumblr.
Did you do the side sweep?
Oh, yep. And the pompadour.
The bump it. Do you remember the bump it?
Yeah, I always called it pompadour though. I wonder why.
That was the official name. The bump it was the brand name of the device.
Okay. But I wouldn't use the bump it. I just use those little clips from Shoppers. I'd twist the hair and push it out. Yeah. You know? I'll find images.
Thank God we've left those trends behind.
Jeez. Oh man. Well, that was Poddy Talk.
The podcast where we shit talk ourselves.
I'm Jack. And I'm Tor.
And we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.